My friend Espen Mathisen, and one of the top competitors in the world, is going to share this one small guard retention detail that instantly massively improved my guard retention in one day. One of the most important principles in guard retention is that if I can get one of my feet in between my chest and his chest, I can always get my guard back. By using your own hand to pull your leg into position, it makes this massively easier. There's so many benefits to this. One obvious one is mobility. Even if you're less mobile, with your hand as support, you can pull your foot into positions that you normally couldn't. But maybe even more important is the fact that you'll have much more strength to do that. Often people are pushing your legs down to run around your guard, and you have to use the small muscles in your hips and core to try to fight back, which can be very exhausting. When you use your hand to pull it in, not only will you have way more strength doing that, but you'll use way less energy, which makes it way less tiring and makes playing guard a lot more easy and honestly more fun. So now Espen's gonna break down the basic mechanics and positioning of using this.
One very important idea to keep in mind whenever you're doing the shin grab is the idea of rotating your hip. And the reason why I'm rotating my hip and opening my heels up is to make sure I'm using my hamstring instead of my thigh. If my toes are facing up, I'm gonna use my thigh, but I wanna be as strong as possible. So if I rotate, I'm gonna activate my hamstring, and additionally, when I'm grabbing, I become extremely strong and it's easier to recover. If you only rely on using the contraction of your muscles, it's hard to bring your knees in properly, and then it's possible for the person on top to start doing Toreandos. If you're countering that by bringing your legs up even more, he can stack you. But by grabbing your own legs, you can actually bring the foot close to your chest. And that's really what you want whenever you're playing open guard, because his goal is to get chest to chest and get connection. But as long as this leg is here, I'm protected. And the cool thing about being in this structure, it's hard for him to do Toreandos, and it's hard for him to stack. So it's very hard for him to get attacks going. Another detail to see is the fact that I'm actually using the knee under my armpit. This creates even more connection with my legs and upper body. So it's extremely hard now to disconnect my body like this. One, my hand is helping, but also the armpit and the knee. And here I'm really strong and it's hard for him to get through. Another perk with the shin grabbing is that it allows you to win the grip fighting easier. So they can try to grab you, but whenever I'm holding on the shin, it's harder to get a pan grip. And from here, my hands are in position to easily grab the sleeve, where I can enter different forms of guards. A lot of people, when they recover without grabbing, they have a tendency to overthrow their leg, which can expose for chain passes. But whenever you grab your leg, I feel you get way more precision, so you can hit the center line of recovery, which makes it easier to be in control, and it's harder for him to chain.
So the first specific examples we're going to look at using are going to be using it on your outside leg to regain your guard. This is often used when you're defending against Toreando passes and your opponent is controlling your pants or ankle, when someone is trying to knee cut pass on you, or even to stop an over-under guard pass.
So now let's look at it when defending Toreando. From here, a lot of times, if you only rely on using your leg, it can be very hard to recover. And especially if they have a stiff arm, it's hard to go over. So what I would do here is to make a frame with my right hand, and now I'm gonna grab my shin. So even if he's extremely strong and try to pin my leg, it's fairly easy now to bring my leg in, make sure I recover to the center line, and go back to my guard. We can also use the shin grabbing to defend the knee cut. So independent if he's holding my leg or he's holding the collar, if he starts getting tight and it's hard to get your leg in, you can always frame with your right hand and now grab your shin, put it back in position, and from here establish a strong guard again. And if you have my pant leg, I'm gonna create a frame, and from here, same thing, grab my shin, go over his arm, and now put it back in position, and I have a strong structure now. It also works really good against the over-under pass. You create frame with your right hand on the shoulder, and from here it's hard to get your leg in if you're only relying on your dexterity. So I'm grabbing my shin, and from here I can put it back in position and recover my guard.
The next method of using this is still using the outside leg, but now we're actually going to feed it to the cross arm, which allows us to pull our foot into even further positions that allows us to retain. And we can even use that grip to frame at the same time with our elbow. This is particularly useful when you get turned away, because often when you're facing the wrong direction, it's hard to put your foot into position to defend. But by feeding it to the cross arm, this makes it so much easier.